This is going to be kind of hard for me because I am scheduled to be reviewing the first Iron Man, which I haven't done yet. It's kind of far down on my list. I'm trying to get there, but so I'm in the unfortunate position of having to review a sequel before I review the first movie. That's okay with me because this is both. I think both films are pretty standalone. Mm-hmm. There really isn't a whole lot of backtracking here. So I have absolutely no idea how this movie was received. I haven't read a single review. I haven't. I have no idea. My thoughts going in, my expectations were, I suppose, that this was going to be pretty much a slam dunk. I mean, they had to have this in the bag. There's absolutely no reason that this shouldn't be great.
Right. Yeah.
Because, not to give anything away of my review of Iron Man, but I did like the movie. I don't think that's giving anything away.
Probably not.
I liked it. Mm-hmm. And I figured that there was just sort of an understanding in Hollywood today, if we continue to make movies good in a franchise, we can continue that franchise. If not, it's just going to die like the Spider-Man or get rebooted.
Right.
I've had a lot of experiences in my life where I thought a movie was going to be bad and it surprised me. Rarely do I think a movie is going to be like super good and it disappoints the hell out of me, but I had that unfortunate experience tonight. I did not have a good time. That was a very, very bad movie.
A good time was about as far from what I had as you could possibly
So it
imagine.
wasn't just me?
No!
Oh, good, because I kept on leaning over to you and I thought maybe you were getting a little pissed off when I was making the few slight comments of like, why aren't they doing anything?
Yeah.
Or, where the fuck? Well, I think I leaned over and said once that this movie has no direction.
No, it didn't have any direction. You're right about that. I leaned over to you and whispered at one point in the movie, this has been on for an hour. And nothing happens.
In the first hour? Nothing happens in the 2 hours.
Nothing at all happens. It's people sitting around, doing nothing, and at the end we get a video game and then the movie's over.
And that's pretty much it. We could just turn the review off now. I mean, I'm not even mad. Like, this wouldn't be very good for a Confused Matthew review because I'm not mad. This isn't bad in, like, oh, there's this huge plot hole here and, well, what were they thinking when they did this? It's just like a depressing kind of bad.
I'll tell you, depressing is exactly the word. I'm just deflated.
Yeah, deflated,
This
definitely.
movie was gas getting let out of a balloon. I mean, there was no energy in this movie.
Not at all. Nothing was pulling me through that. I'll tell you something. So it begins with kind of a recap of a few things that happened in the first movie. And then we get this Senate meeting, which goes on for too fucking long. Mm. And I understand. I was like, okay, this is just setup. But, it felt like you were watching a real Senate meeting. It was that boring.
Do you know it took a half hour to get there?
Jesus. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you get the Senate meeting, and
I was looking at my watch,
I was thinking to myself, do they have a script here, or is everyone just ad-libbing? Because they're ad-libbing, it's fine. It sounds like a real conversation, but it sounds like a real conversation also in the sense that it's not related to a movie.
It sounds like a real conversation that should have taken place off camera.
Yeah, exactly. And then they start rolling the cameras, and you actually get onto a script.
Yeah.
I don't know who wrote this, but the whole movie was like that. After the second scene, when they go into wherever the fuck they were before the race car scene, and you go in there, and that hammer guy... Let's talk about the hammer guy. I know this is all over the place, but so is the movie. Yeah. That guy needed to be written out of the fucking film. He was not only obnoxious, but he was purposeless. And I'll tell you something. This movie had exactly the same problem that Batman Returns had with the Max Schreck character.
Yeah, it did.
Where I'm thinking to myself... Why didn't you just make the Penguin do what the Max Schreck character is? What is the point of having these two people here? Because you've got a main villain, and then you've got this main villain who's doing more than the main villain. That's exactly what they did with the Hammer character.
That's exactly what they did, and Max Schreck was actually a little bit... there was some tension behind him. I agree with you that he shouldn't have been in the movie, but he was at least tense. This guy was stupid. His jokes weren't funny.
No.
Every scene with him in it... died. It didn't end. It just died horribly. Yeah. And I'll tell you this: they ripped off the retarded character in Transformers.
I was thinking exactly the same thing.
And put him in that role.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Putting a comic relief guy in the position of egging on the main villain. You can't take it seriously once you've done that.
You can't take anything he did seriously, and he's our main threat. The main threat is not that Ivan guy, because I'll tell you, fucking, he has this introductory scene where his dad dies, and he does the stupidest fucking yell that I've ever heard since, Worf after Jadzia died. I thought...
Or Darth Vader's, no!
Yeah, God, was that hammed up. He actually did a very... There was a very good performance on his part in this character for all that he fucking did anything in the movie. But so he dies. We got this great introductory scene. Then he fights with Stark, and then he talks to Stark, and he says, your family is a sham, and a lot of good people died because of them, and I'm going to expose you, and this and that and the other thing. Then he sits on ass for 3/4 of the film, and then he comes back in and does something.
Let me ask you this: What did the Stark family have to do with his father's death?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know what he wanted.
Yeah, what did his father die of? Yeah, what did he want? Exactly.
I don't know what his motivations were. They had the opportunity to make this a very personal thing, to have Tony Stark introspect and say, God, did my family really do this? Am I really rewriting my own history to make it the way I wanted, or did I really hurt someone? This could have been like The Dark Knight, where it was an idea-driven film. They had all the material there to make that happen.
And they had the material. There were 3 elements of this film that could have been good. We'll get to the other 2, maybe in part 2. Like everything else, it was a sketchy first draft idea that they did nothing with.
Yeah, they cranked out a first draft and said, let's shove it into the theaters, was my impression.
Well, that's exactly what they did. And that really bothers me, because this was something that could have been special. This is something that could have been... good, for
This
God's
is also
sake.
something that I was really looking forward to.
Yeah.
I actually really wanted to see this. I was excited when I realized that, it was coming out. I wanted to see it earlier. I was really pumped up for this. Around that time that he was with that stupid guy with the eye patch, and the guy said, if you try to leave, I'll tase you, I fucking wanted to go home.
Yeah, me too.
I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to sit through this anymore.
We're reading Nick Meyer, the director's biography.
Yes.
Or autobiography or whatever, memoirs. And he said, either in the book or in an interview, he said that he can't imagine why, when he was editing movies, he said he couldn't imagine why a scene should be on the screen for longer than it could justify itself. Almost every scene in this movie is on longer than it can justify itself.
I'll tell you, they are unjustifiably long. There's a thing where he comes in after doing God knows what, God knows where, sitting on ass like everybody else in this movie. He comes in and they start talking about strawberries, and I'm like, they're really going to continue this scene? They can't just cut it here? They can't just cut it here? They can't just cut it here?
That whole scene needed to be cut out, and he got this doesn't go anywhere really either, but he got the idea for the new reactor by looking at a model.
Yeah, it turns into
city.
the fucking Da Vinci Code at the end.
Yeah, exactly, but I'll tell you what, he could have gotten that information wouldn't it have been more interesting if he got it by looking at the video that he was watching, of the film of his father?
What the fuck was he watching that video for in the first
place?
What
did they need that scene for? And then you get you get him driving in his little car with the thing sticking out like that's supposed to be funny, but there's dramatic music behind it. Then, now keep that in mind, the first fight scene between him and his friend?
Yeah.
That's supposed to be kind of this rivalry, or this big fight that shouldn't take place between friends, but it does, and they have, dance music playing.
Let's talk about that and a couple other things in part 2, because we need to stop this for time purposes, but that fight was fucking stupid, and I can't wait to discuss this.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so this fight scene breaks out between, Stark and his friend in an arbitrary place, just like fucking everything else in this movie. You could put any scene anywhere. But a fight breaks out because I guess his friend was really upset that he was having fun at his birthday party. I guess you're not supposed to do that.
He was upset that he got drunk in the suit and was fucking around with
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, okay, so rather than just, say, okay, he's having fun at his birthday party, he'll probably just sleep it off. He has to get in another suit and say, take that goddamn suit off. And so they're going to fight. And the whole time I'm thinking, can they even hurt each other? Because I haven't seen anybody get hurt in these fights. So it's like just an invincible fight where no one's really going to get hurt and no one's going to win. So what the fuck are they fighting for?
I don't understand why they punch each other in those suits. It's not like it's going to...
Yeah, it's not doing anything.
That should have been set up in a completely different, just like just about everything else in this movie. What the hell was I going to say about that? Let's see, they're fighting. Oh, yeah, the thing is, so he's drunk in the suit, and he wants him to stop. The whole reason that he's trying to stop him is because he thinks he's going to hurt somebody in the suit, so he's going to get in another suit
and hurt people.
Put people in double danger.
Yeah, what was he planning to do other than doing exactly what he was doing? Yeah. That was retarded. And then, so... let's talk about the Ivan character. I don't even know where to fucking go with this review. That movie was so fucking all over the place. Where did the movie go? Yeah. So, the Ivan character seems to have some kind of a motivation because of what was done to his family.
Well, what was done to his family?
That's the thing. His family was legitimately crooked.
And the best I can figure out...
So what I'm saying is, what did the Stark family do to him? So he has no real legitimate motivation that even he believes in.
The best I can determine... the Stark family figured out that he was crooked. Now, at this point, rather than have him arrested for selling secrets and tried for treason against the United States, they send him back to Russia where he can, of course, apply his knowledge and give it to the Russians.
Yeah, we're talking about his dad.
His father.
Yeah.
Now, so, what contributed to his... what about him being deported contributed to his father's death?
I have no fucking idea.
Nothing. Nothing.
So... let me ask you one serious question about Samuel L. Jackson's character in this movie. Who the fuck was he?
Okay.
Where did he come from? They were having conversations like we were supposed to know who this guy was. I had no idea who he was.
Get ready for a pissed off alert.
Okay.
In order to learn who Samuel L. Jackson's character is, you have to watch the Iron Man DVD.
Oh, come the fuck on.
Listen to me. At the end of the credits, you watch through all the credits, and then they have a little scene at the end saying that his name is blah, 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 and he works for S.H.I.E.L.D., and Stark's just been recruited.
Does it say what S.H.I.E.L.D. is?
In the movie, it sort of did. Remember in the first movie where the guy said he kept on wanting to debrief Stark, and they kept on putting it off?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he said our organization's called S.H.I.E.L.D. now. We don't really learn what they do or what they're about.
I will say I've only seen the movie once, and I didn't fucking remember that.
Well, so you could have conceivably known what S.H.I.E.L.D. was, sort of. I don't really know what it is. We weren't told in the first movie.
Yeah.
But as for Samuel L. Jackson, you have to watch to the end of the credits to learn that.
Great. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I was lost there. I had no idea who the
what did they need to be in the movie for?
But the thing is,
they detract from an already detracted movie?
Yes, they put too many fucking threads in here. It had the Spider-Man 3 problem, except the threads here were way more boring than there were in Spider-Man 3. I never thought I would ever say that.
Yeah.
But so the S.H.I.E.L.D. guy, he brings Tony in, and Tony is like apparently dying because the thing is killing him.
That goes nowhere.
Goes absolutely nowhere. Mm-hmm. But they're like, okay, you need to stay here and work this out. So he stays there. And what the fuck does he do? What the fuck did they have him do to work it out? He's watched that one video and then just and then what? And then he leaves.
Yeah.
So he goes in, sits on ass, and leaves. Mm-hmm. And we had to watch that.
Yeah, and when he got put under house arrest, I thought to myself, you have done nothing with the Iron Man character this whole movie, and now you're gonna make it illegal for him to do anything in the movie for a period of, like, we haven't sat around enough.
Fucking hell.
So let me just kind of barf out one thing that I noticed. Remember the scene where they're in the restaurant and then everybody's like, oh, he's going to be driving a race car? Oh my god. So Pepper says to the dude, I guess she calls him Happy for some reason, she goes, yeah, I need this guy. Get this guy in here. The guy's got the suit handcuffed to himself. They get in the car. They drive to the racetrack. They drive into the racetrack while the cars are going. They don't know that there's any danger. They don't know that Ivan's there. And nobody does. Only Ivan does at this point. What did they drive onto the racetrack for? Let's say Ivan wasn't there. What were they going to do? Tony's car was going to drive right by him. His car would have stopped. They would have turned around and said, Tony, are you nuts? What are you doing?
Well, I think you might actually be mistaken here. If I'm not mistaken, I think they saw him walk onto the racetrack when she said, we gotta go. Well,
they didn't know who he was.
Well, yeah, I know. You still have the problem. I'm going to say that there was kind of a cause of it. I wouldn't go so far as to start driving on the fucking racetrack on the wrong side of the track.
Well,
yeah, I know. That whole thing.
That's a fair point that they saw a dude walk out there.
Yeah, that whole thing was stupid. I actually thought it was kind of dumb how we see Tony using a bunch of really, really heavy tools like a sledgehammer and this huge, wrench
Yeah.
to knock down a wall and stuff. And I was like, why isn't he in the Iron Man suit?
Yeah,
he could do that.
he
In
just
2 seconds.
punched through
It
the
then
wall.
occurred to me that they actually did specify that the suit is kind of accelerating his condition that's
Yeah.
killing him. So that's fine.
Now see,
Isn't that just a testament to how bad this is? You start noticing things that you wouldn't otherwise notice.
Right.
They wouldn't be that big a deal if the
Yeah.
screenplay had been there.
Yeah.
But
Well,
God, you've got the protagonist and the antagonist sitting on ass for 3/4 of the film. I haven't seen that since The Lion King.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, you have some elements of this story that might have worked. This
Yeah.
needed rewrites. They needed to take the S.H.I.E.L.D. people completely out of it. Take the retarded...
Not the redhead.
Yeah, the redhead.
No,
Who
not
gives
the
a
redhead.
shit? What did she... Anyway. Yeah, great. But so take the S.H.I.E.L.D. people completely out of it. Take the retarded guy completely out of it. Have this, focus on the fact that Tony's dying. Focus
Yeah.
on that he wants to leave something behind and he's going to leave it to his friend, but he's
And
trying
then
to
he
make the
goes
decision.
and looks at his dad and sees how his dad was trying to leave things behind. There was
And
you're
then,
right.
exactly. And they sort of did that, but they
No.
but horribly.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right. There was potential in a lot of areas here.
And with the Ivan character, have him switch places with Tony in the first movie where he's brought in by some other company. They tell him to build this thing and build something up. They sort of did that.
Yeah, but they should have had him running the show there. They should have
Right.
put this fucking hammer jackass in
Exactly.
there, taking over, all of the villain time.
Maybe for whatever reason he felt that Stark had damaged his family and his father. Have him start a company and build on
be
that
his
and
competition. I thought that's what they were going to do.
Right,
I
exactly,
thought
and they
that's
should
what they
have.
said they were going to do in the trailers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I don't know how anybody else felt about this. I don't know if they liked it or hated it. If anybody liked it, I'm sorry. I know that I'm going to jet over to spill.com and those 4 knuckleheads are going to have loved this, and I'm going to be like, what?
Yeah.
But if anybody liked it, I'm actually glad. I'm glad you had a good time, because I had a horrible time
it
tonight.
was one of the. It ranks up there with some of the worst experiences I've had in a movie theater. It
X-Men
really does.
3 came to mind.
Oh,
Pirates of the
yeah.
Caribbean at World's End came to mind.
Yeah.
Let me just ask before we end, did you like anything about this movie?
I liked what it might have been. You're
what
actually
it
in the
was.
movie itself.
Yeah.
No.
I wanted to fuck the redhead.
Great.
They can put that on, the billing now. Confused Matthew.
He wanted to.
He
fuck
wanted
the
to fuck
redhead.
the redhead. So-
I kind of liked the Ivan character. I wish they would have done.
I
more
wish
with
they
him.
would have made him a character. I liked what little I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of reminded me of a rehearsal.
It's like a beautiful stained glass window that you put in a room of the house that no light can touch.
That actually made sense.
Thanks.
Let's end it there. I didn't like it. He didn't like it. If you liked it, great. I had a horrible time.
I had a very horrible time.
All right.